Hello, I am Board Game Hobby.
And I'm Board Game Wifey.
Today we're bringing you yet another video about ESSEN SPIEL. We've already done a video on our haul, the games that we brought home with us. Now we will be talking about the games that we tried out down there, played, demoed. And let's just get right into it. These are games that the reason I tried them down there was because I wasn't sure if I would like them. So I tried them with the purpose of finding out whether I wanted to buy them. We've already spoiled that we only bought one of these games, but we wanted to buy more. So stay tuned.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So first game that we tried, and we tried this together, was 12 Chinese Zodiac.
This game looked so cute. It's a racing style game where you are the different 12, or you are 12 different style Chinese Zodiacs with special powers. So you're racing through a map that reveals itself as you go, and then your character has some ability that helps you during the race.
Yeah, so it's racing with animals and special abilities.
Which are things that I really like. For example, we have enjoyed Cubitus a lot, which is a racing game with animals.
Yeah, it's usually home run for us.
Yes, but this one was kind of unbalanced, I would say. In our experience as two players.
At least it was very swingy. It might also be unbalanced between the powers. I don't know. By the way, these aren't reviews per se. These are just our impressions after one play.
Yeah.
And I agree, it was very swingy. Like I had one turn where I moved 18 spaces and you moved 2.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of swinginess in the game.
There is, and it's based on luck, and the cards were a bit confusing in the beginning, so it was only when we were 2/3 through that we actually understood them before we played them and the significance of it. And we do think that if you are more players, you could play up to 12 players. It will balance itself out more because you can block each other and stuff. And as 2 players, I wasn't even halfway through the map before Michael was done.
Yeah.
And that didn't have a great feel to it.
Yeah.
But it had a cute look, and the idea was good.
I wanted to like it a lot more than I did.
Me too.
I think it needs some work to bring down the swinginess.
Yeah.
The next game that we tried is actually one that only I tried. It is Expedition. Whereas the first game was by, I believe, a Taiwanese designer and publisher. This one is by Korean Board Games. It is essentially Quest for El Dorado. So it has deck building and it's a race, but whereas in Quest for El Dorado you're racing to get to a finish line, here you're racing to dig up 2 artifacts before everyone else. And it has a sort of push your luck mechanism where at the end of each turn you have a choice. Do you want to continue through the difficult terrain because it gets more and more difficult to move through? Or do you want to reset, get back to camp so you can buy more cards? Which also means there's a new kind of card in this. It has all the cards where like you're moving and such, like in Quest for El Dorado. But also in this, it has a card where you can bring back cards from your discard into your deck because the only way you get to shuffle your discard is if you return to camp.
Right.
So you're limited on cards if you just keep moving.
Sounds interesting.
This was the surprise of the convention for me. I loved it. I tried to get it. They didn't have it. I asked again the next day and the next day again, just in case. I wanted to ask if I could get the demo copies they were using. Unfortunately, all sold out. So the surprise of the convention for me, and I think you'd like it as well.
I think so too.
Moving on to Featherlight, which is a game that we both tried.
Yes, we tried it in a group of 4. Yeah. It's a lighter version of Fantasy Realms where you cooperatively build a bird's nest with cards that are feathers with special scoring abilities. These same cards are on your hand, and the cards on your hand are those that you score points with, but combined with the feathers colors in the nest. So you're trying to make your hand the most valuable it can be. At the same time, the other players are doing the same thing. So you are accidentally sabotaging and helping each other throughout the game.
Yeah, to be clear, it's a competitive game.
It
so
is.
When Catherine says cooperatively laying out cards, it's just that there's a shared area of like 5 or 6 discard piles. And you can discard into those, but you can also take the top card of each of those discard piles. So what this does different than Fantasy Realms is one, it has more of a fixed game length or predictable game length. Whereas in Fantasy Realms, it can be over very quickly. as soon as there are 10 cards that have been discarded.
Yeah.
Here, it's when one of the two draw piles are empty. So you can see the end coming. So I can see people preferring that. And it's lighter. This is whereas Fantasy Realms is like a gamer's filler. This is a family filler.
Yeah.
I liked it enough. I didn't want to buy it, but like if you had insisted, I would have been fine buying it.
I liked it a lot, but at the same time, we have a lot of great games. So it's not like I really crave playing it again, but I do enjoy it, and I do see us playing it in the future with kids.
Next up, we have Heat, which is by Days of Wonder and a Danish design duo that also the same one that also did Flamme Rouge. And this is reminiscent of Flamme Rouge in many ways. We played this together.
We did. This is also a racing style game where you have your different cars on a regular race track. And I have actually forgotten how you move.
You play cards from your hand, and depending on which gear in, that determines how many cards you can play.
Right.
Is the main mechanic of the game.
And just with numbers that are those amount of spaces that you move forward, but then you can overtake and you can use the slipstream. So there are some catch-up mechanisms in a way, and some block points, some corners you have to turn. And
some trying to guess what the others are doing, so you can take advantage of that and maybe lower cards and try to get around the corners without speeding through them too much, because that will earn you penalties.
I feel like it has a huge potential when you get to understand the mechanisms and the strategy behind it.
Yeah, I agree. I saw a lot of potential in this. We played the base game. There are several modules you can add to this. So like different rules for some of the corners, sections of the map, more maps you can play on. I think there are 4 maps, I believe they said were included in the base game. So you can even play like a tournament or a cup. So were you about to sneeze?
Yeah.
That's why I was crying. Or you're just getting very emotional about Heat.
Oh yeah, so heated. No, what?
This is one of the games that I do want to buy. But because it's by a big publisher, I didn't see the need to buy it at the convention, because it was about to, and I think, or is already now out in all retail stores. Yeah. So that's why I didn't bother to buy it at the convention.
No need to bring it from ESSEN to Denmark.
Yeah. Right. When I can support a Danish retail store. Okay. Yeah. So that was Heat. Moving on to Insecta. Lady Entomologist, I think is the full title. This is one that only I played. It was actually the first game I played at the convention. I played a full game of this. This is a game in which you are female entomologists collecting insects. The theme alone pulled me in. I so wanted this to be good. This is the game that I most wanted to like, because that's just a game I want in my collection. Unfortunately, I think it's just overall fine. I think it needs a revised edition probably. This is based on one play, but you are basically collecting tiles. So you're collecting insect tiles, and then you're also collecting scoring tiles. You need to place them in a grid where if you have an insect, then orthogonally adjacent to that are all scoring tiles. And if you have a scoring tile, orthogonally adjacent to that are all insect tiles. And they say like on this row, if you collect these certain things, you score this amount of points. And it's based on like an action selection system or worker placement type system where if you go very far down, you get the good action, but then for the next round, you start from the top. So the one who took the weakest action goes first the next round. All of that sounds good, right?
Yeah, it does sound good.
There are some player powers in the game that I feel are unbalanced based on first impressions. I didn't ever use mine.
That sucks.
There was some confusing iconography to the degree that I was like, this can't be right. Like I was doubting the explainer when he said this is what the icons meant. The point track goes to 30 points, even though 2 out of 4 scored more than that. It seems like when you get used to the game, you
even in the first play.
Yeah, those might all sound like minor things. Actually, the biggest problem for me was that it seemed too easy to just get what you want. Like to just get the insects that you want, and there's an action that is look at the bottom 3 insects and pick the one you want. And I think there aren't many insects starting each pile, so at some point it was just take whichever insect you want, because there are only 3 left. So I think there are small issues with it that can be remedied. So I hope they will do that. Or maybe it's just a me thing. I don't know.
Moving on
to the game that we did buy. Keydom's Dragons.
Keydom's Dragon is a worker placement game. It's based on earlier games, right? So it's Aladdin's
the original
dragons that are based on Keydoms.
Yeah.
And therefore it's called Keydom's Dragons.
Yeah.
It's a worker placement game where it's kind of auction, guessing, deceiving the other players and trying to gain artifacts by buying them with little gems that you get from the dragons.
Yeah, it's a blind bidding system. So they're like worker placement spots, but you're bidding for the spots to get the rewards that you want. So there's a lot of bluffing, double think.
Trying to guess what other people are doing. And
we played this with a couple of other Danes that we met down there. Very much enjoyed it on our first play. And we bought it, played it with our friends several times here back at home, and everyone just loves it. And it's very rewarding on subsequent plays. So
absolutely, and it's like a meta on it, so it evolves as you play, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, so we like that a lot. Moving on to Maui, which is a game that only I played. This is an abstract puzzle type game by Plan B / Next Move Games that also did Azul. So from that, I had a lot of expectations going in to just the component quality. So in the game, you're laying out towels on a beach, and each towel has 3 colors. And when you lay out a towel, you're trying to make it match the 3 previous colors. So the perfect thing would be to get 2 identical in a row.
Yeah.
To simplify it.
Yeah.
But then there's other details on top of that, and you're using like coins to choose from 2 rows of towels. That's basically the game, and the gameplay just was a bit disappointing to me. But actually what most disappointed me was the component quality. So there's like the board what you're using is this flimsy paper thing that folds in half, and 2 times I had to ask, I asked 2 different explainers whether this was a demo, like a prototype, or if this was actually the final copy.
It was the final copy.
It was the final copy. I've even read online others asking the same thing. I was baffled. They had a good explanation for it. I mean, with prices going and the environment. But I mean, from Azul, you're just used to a certain standard of quality, and this wasn't there. So of course, you hope the gameplay makes up for it, but it felt very samey. Like in Azul, the options you have are constantly changing based on what the other people are doing. There's not so much that here. And when you take something, you can use it in different ways, and you can also hate draft. So I can take something to mess you over, but all of those strategic decisions don't exist in this game. So it was very disappointing.
It's a no good.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Next
one is My Shelfie, which we both played.
We both played this. I did quite enjoy it. It's a Connect 4 game where you're trying to build a bookshelf with books and cats and vases and other things that you could put in a bookshelf. No, board games though. And it's with colors that needs to be connected and patterns that needs to be fulfilled. And I found it very relaxing and rewarding to play, but there's no huge strategy. There's a board in the middle where you're trying to take pieces from, and if you can take 3 pieces if they are in a row and they all have an open side, so you can grab from there. But it wasn't the big gameplay or strategic decisions that some might want from a game like this.
No, it's a pleasant game. It's a pleasant easy game, and it actually sold out there. So by Connect 4, I think what you mean, right, is that you have this
the Connect 4 frame that you drop pieces into.
Yeah, it's not that you're trying to Connect 4.
No.
You're trying to accomplish objectives, like public objectives, your own personal objectives, etc. I think there's always like 3 things you're trying to balance. And I think I've reflected on it. I think it's that there's not a fourth, that it falls a bit short for me. I just need a bit more. It's like I like these puzzly spatial
They
games.
don't necessarily block each other, so you need to make hard decisions. It's just about being focused, so you get all of them, kind of.
Yeah, and like also just that each tile, it's a color, and then there's like an image on it, but it's only ever the color that matters.
Yeah.
So
it
every
could
time
have
you
been
take
fun.
a thing, it's only the color that matters.
Yeah.
Whereas in Calico and other games, like you have to
There's a
take
pattern
other
of-
things into
yeah.
consideration.
That would have, but it's a family game.
It's family, good gateway puzzle.
But the
spatial
thing
game.
is also that the frame was kind of redundant and just made it a bit fiddly to move around, because some of us like that the little tiles are facing the right way, so when they don't, you need to like scoop them out.
And the other people like, are you cheating right now? Are you replacing your things? They were
I
looking at you
wasn't.
very skeptically.
I didn't notice because I was doing my own
Yeah.
thing, but
I saw those Germans looking at me like, is she just cheating in front of her eyes right now?
well, they're Germans. They would appreciate the structure that I wanted to achieve,
Yeah.
right?
I thought you were about
Back
to
me
say
up.
they would appreciate cheating.
No, that's your. Okay, let's move on.
All right,
We didn't buy it.
we didn't buy it. But it's a fine game. Next up, we played another family-friendly game. We played Pan's Island, also 4 players, a cooperative game.
A cooperative game with some a French couple. It's a family-style game where you are trying to explore the map of Neverland and finding the Lost Boys and avoiding Captain Hook. That's his name. It's a very fun kind of movement where you are using this flying sky and you're drawing on the boards, and it's very tactile in that way, which I think some people would appreciate and other people would find fiddly. And then you are cooperatively trying to give clues to where you will find the lost boy and how afraid of being found by Captain Hook you should be.
Yeah. This is, if you've played Treasure Island, this is a more family-friendly, streamlined version of that. It was fine.
I would say for a family game, I would rate it very highly. I think it's a good game that I would enjoy playing with my kids, even though I'm a grown-up, not like raw.
Yeah.
But for a group of grown-ups, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. But it looked very nice, very high production, but a bit of fiddliness and a bit of, I think when you play with the same group, the way you use your cards is just like the same game as the game. So I don't.
The instructor gave us an correction of how to using the hint cards, but it was like, thank you, but we're doing it this way because we get each other. So it's like
we weren't doing anything illegal by the
No,
rules.
no,
we were
we
just
weren't.
doing something strange, maybe. But it worked
we
for
just
us,
found another meta to play, and that worked very precisely for us.
Yeah. Next
We didn't buy it.
Yeah, we didn't buy it. I had hoped to. I had high expectations. It was fine. Next,
Same with the next one.
Yeah. Next one is by Dirk Henn, who also designed Alhambra, the Spiel des Jahres winning game. This is Powerline, which we played together.
We played together. Powerline is about connecting power lines by throwing dice and then filling up the power lines with the numbers on the dice. So you can have a row of 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and then you want to place it 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, but you can't skip any numbers. And then you get points for connecting an entire pole, let's say, power pole, and so on and so forth. But we weren't so excited about it.
By the way, to make it clear, this is a simultaneous play game. So like you're rolling dice that are in a common pool, and everyone's using those same dice to place out the dice or your workers on your power lines to fit with the numbers that you rolled. So it's a puzzle type thing, but at some point you're very reliant on those dice. There isn't a lot of mitigation, and there aren't really we don't after one play. This is one play. After one play, we didn't feel like there were a lot of strategies to explore. No. There's basically two. Do you go for like the very long power line, or do you not?
Yeah.
But it feels like it's not low for me. I still give it like a 6 or something if I had to rate it.
I don't think I would recommend it.
fair enough. Well, 6 is not a recommendation
no.
either.
Or play it again.
But I would play it. I would play it because it does feel fulfilling to like roll numbers and try to make them fit your Powerline.
I don't even feel that way, and I really easily achieve that.
Okay.
I probably would try it again just once, just to see if my first impression was right. But it doesn't get my juices flowing at all.
Yeah, like I mostly worry about the replayability. Like the 3 objectives are the same every game. The end game scoring seems utterly ridiculous.
It does.
So redundant. Like everyone got the same amount of points.
Yeah.
Based on the end game scoring.
Yeah.
So the next one we played is Reflecto, which we played together.
This is an abstract word puzzle game, and I really wanted to like it. It's so pretty.
The cover is gorgeous.
It is. You just wanted it for the shelf presence.
Yeah.
And you are moving tiles around, and you have created a 5-letter word that the other person needs to guess. The way that you can find the letters from the words is by moving tiles with mirrors on it, so you can actually see it, but the other player doesn't know if you have seen it. But when you play it, it doesn't actually work because you want to move your pieces quickly, and then like, oh, could you do that again, but slowly, so you can see it, and you need to angle them right, and you're really looking at the mirror ones. And in the end, I have gotten all the letters from Michael, and I actually had no
incentive to not just figure out the word.
Yeah.
So like at some point you had figured out the word, so you didn't want to move any pieces. You just want to guess the word, which is an action you can do.
Yeah.
So in essence, you could have spent 30 minutes thinking about that.
Yeah.
You didn't spend that long.
No.
But like I'm just sitting there waiting for you to just guess my word at some point. Which yeah.
So there weren't actually any options when I have gotten all the letters, and that was disappointing.
Yeah, I think so. It's like it's by the way, the movement rules are like Chinese checkers. So you can win by moving through all of your letters to the other side of the board, or just by guessing the opponent's words. Neat idea. In practice, just didn't work too well. Yeah,
we didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Next one
was also an abstract game called TacTiki.
We did enjoy this game.
Yeah.
So you have these totem pole kind of faces with numbers on them that symbolizes their strength, 1 to 4. Yeah. And then you move them around. I think you can move in all directions. Or what was it? You could...
you can't move diagonally.
No. You move around the board and trying to capture the other players.
Stratego style.
And if you capture them and your number is bigger, they leave the board. If it's the same number, you lock that one in, and if it's higher, yours is out. But you can actually bring your tiles back in the game. That really shifted up that Stratego feel, where if you are down a lot of players, you kind of already lost the game. This time you can actually get your tiles back in the game, which makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree. That's the one thing that really does wonders for this game. And it's this small board, and it feels like, is there a game in this? But there really is. And tactile wise, it feels very nice. Like the pieces look gorgeous, feel gorgeous, and the idea of like when you compare your numbers, you take the thing and you turn it around. Really enjoyed this one. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to get it delivered in time for the
shipping never came.
The shipment never came, or was held up in customs or something. We wanted to buy it, but it wasn't there.
It's on your wish list.
It is. And then the last game is one that only I tried. It's Witchcraft Moon Magic, I believe is the full title. In this game, you're playing as witches. So I have a witch with special power, and so does everyone else. It's a competitive game, and you're trying to get 20 magic points first. You're doing that by fulfilling recipes and grabbing ingredients for those recipes. I think it's like potions you're trying to make or something. Yeah. And that's from a grid of 9 cards out in the middle, and you can take like a row, like you could take 3 next to each other. But I ended up starting with a so-called familiar. That was my special ability, was that I could start with a familiar, which is an animal that gave me an extra special ability, which was I could just take any 3 cards that I wanted. And there's an economy to this game where if there's a crystal on a card, you don't have to pay for it. And if you take a card that is not a crystal, you have to pay a crystal to another card. So, but how it worked out was that there are 5 different actions you can choose between, like get a familiar, get more crystals, etc., etc. But I just ended up picking the same action throughout the entire game, which was take the 3 cards that I wanted. And because I could take the 3 cards that I wanted, I could take the cheap cards and get crystals. So I never had to worry about the economy.
No.
And I won handily. Like it was just a blowout. So I won the game by taking one of the 5 actions. I never explored the other sides of the game.
That's not a good game.
Yeah, so it seems after one play semi-broken. But I do like it's a game where I want to like house rule it. Because I like the artwork, I like the idea of special abilities, witches, and you can get familiars to help you. I like all of that stuff, but it just needed more development work, and I almost like actually saw so much potential in it that I almost want to like reach out and like or make my own house rule version of it or something. But it is not a game that I would play again.
So that was our 14 games that we played.
14 games. So what did we end up with? We bought one game. We want to buy Heat, TacTiki, and Expedition.
Expedition, yes.
So 4 out of the 14 games were games that we did want to buy.
It was.
So I think that's fair.
That is fair. And I enjoyed trying the other games as well.
Yeah.
So it was good fun to just go around and try different games. Michael had already planned it. Yeah. So we didn't go with my spontaneity, like but maybe sometime in the future he can loosen up a bit and we can play the games that I look at and want to play.
Yeah. We can do that. Come with me next year and we can do that.
Maybe not.
Yeah. But I agree, it was enjoyable playing all of these games. The experience was good.
Did you have any big surprises at Spiel this year that you wanted to
let us know in the comments?
Yeah. And then otherwise just like, subscribe, comment,
all that good stuff.
And we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.